What is up, you guys? Matt McKeever here in Winnipeg. We're in Weston, the neighborhood of Weston, here with Damon, who's currently working on a flip project. He's actually got a really interesting background, moved here to Winnipeg because the real estate market's so attractive. But anyways, tell us a little bit about yourself and then let's get into this project.
Yeah, so my name's Damon Woodward. I moved from Vancouver out here to Winnipeg back in September of last year there. Been here just flipping a few houses. I'm working with Mr. Stefan Arnio. That was the main reason why I came out here from Vancouver. But now I'm doing mostly single family flips here in town. So I got a few on the go here now. This is my most recent one here in Weston. And yeah, let's check it out. So when I first bought this property, there was a wall here. It was a little bit closed in, so we banged this wall out. This is a 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom property here in Weston. It's not the worst area, not the best, a little transitional, but definitely not the worst area. So it was pretty banged up when I first picked up this house. It looks quite a lot better than it does now than it did when I first came in here. It was ripped apart pretty good. All really old cabinets, really old everything here, so we pretty much gutted the entire thing. The kitchen here, we actually had a huge chimney stack running right across the center here, so it just made the layout really bad, really ugly layout there. The furnace at the time was venting into the chimney. We ended up changing out the furnace so it vents outside now, not into the chimney, so I decided I'm just going to demolish the chimney, get it out of here. But it's looking much nicer now. So we have the nice galley style kitchen here. I chose to go with the gray, kind of makes everything pop a little bit with the white kind of whitewash background there with the gray grout.
And do you mind just walking us through, this was a property you found on the MLS?
This was an MLS property. So the story behind that, I got it about 20 grand below asking price. It was listed for 100 grand, which me coming from Vancouver is pretty much unheard of here. So I was lucky enough I was able to pay all cash for this house. There's no mortgage, no banks, no debt involved. Very nice. One of my favorite ways to do real estate is all cash. That way if it does have to sit for any reason for a few months after the renovations, you're not really getting eaten alive with huge interest rates. Very nice. But so it was an MLS property. I went directly to the listing agent. I didn't actually bring my own agent in, which was kind of nice. I think that was one of the main reasons why I actually got the property, because there was a few other people that were sort of lined up for that. But went directly to the listing agent, negotiated the price down. I came into this property with a higher offer than I knew somebody else. I sort of knew what range they were offering in, so I decided to offer a little bit more than them, and then I negotiated it down before I removed my subjects, just so I could actually tie it up. So it was a bit of a strategy there.
So do you mind walking us through what were maybe some tips for the audience, or like what sort of problems did you present that you were able to present to the seller to help you get that price down?
Yeah, so I just basically chatted a little bit, asked a lot of really good questions, got a little bit more information about the background of the sellers. It became evident sort of partway through the negotiation that they were in a pretty big rush to get rid of this property. It was already vacant for a while, and so I kind of slowed things down, just kind of waited till the very last minute of my subjects, and then I just kind of nibbled it down a few $1,000 just to, you know, because that's critical. That's all, you know, it goes right into your pocket at the end of the deal there. So I didn't nibble too much, nibbled it down another few grand, got about 20 grand below the asking price, which was pretty good. It was still about, the city assessment on this house was about 150, so I'm quite a bit lower than the assessed value, which was fairly nice. But that was the particular strategy that I chose, as I went directly to the listing agent. I don't always do that, but on this particular property that seemed to work pretty good, and we ended up getting it here. So.
And how did you decide what level of renovations you're going to do on this project?
Yeah, so what I did is I just looked at the closest comparables in the area, you know, the apples to apples comparables, made sure they were all the exact same style, exact same house, took the best ones, and I basically just looked at the condition of those properties, and then I just knew that that's exactly what I needed to do as far as renovations to get that price point out of the property. So I looked at the comparables, used that as a way to kind of figure out what exactly I wanted to do to the property, and I kind of just copied and pasted some of the decent comps in the area because I know the buyers are buying those types of properties here and kind of what they were looking for. So yeah, but that's kind of the story of how I came about this property, and it's you know, it's overall it's going very well. It's you know, it's on budget, everything's looking pretty good. The timeline was good. We're doing a full renovation, so we're doing the kitchen, the bathrooms, flooring, paint, just kind of the usual stuff. Some exterior work on the outside on the front. We're doing some vinyl siding. We replaced a lot of the windows, so it's yeah, it's overall it's coming along very nicely, and it's going to look really good when it's all staged up at the end here soon, in probably about a week.
How do you approach your budgeting process? Do you budget by room, or how are you? Do you mind just walking the audience?
Sure. Yeah, so I just, usually I'm picking them up at, I don't want to pay more than about 60 cents on the dollar typically, but when I factor in the cost of the renovations, I try to stay below 75 cents on the dollar, if a dollar is the sale price. So 75 cents on the dollar, that's kind of where I want to stay below with the purchase and the rentals together. So I knew exactly what that number was. I knew exactly how much money I was able to spend on the renovations, and right now we're pretty much right at the top of that now here. So that's kind of how I figured out the budget I had for the rentals, was just staying in those margins. But yeah, so most of the money, a lot of it was spent in the kitchen. As you could probably notice from the kitchen, it does run the entire length of the kitchen. I tried to cut down the amount of counter space there because that is one of the biggest expenses here. But a lot of the money went into the kitchen, went into the bathrooms, and the flooring and paint's really not that expensive, but a lot of that was doing the kitchen and the bathrooms, a lot of that. Might be about $1,000 over budget. There was only one overage so far, and the house is pretty much done, so overall it's looking pretty nice. I did have a bit of a contingency fund there. One of the main issues when I bought this place is that there was no power, so I didn't have a chance to check on the condition of the furnace, that kind of thing. So as soon as we got the power back, I realized that the furnace was completely destroyed on the inside. I had to replace the furnace. So luckily the contingency fund that I had was pretty much to the penny the exact amount that I spent on the furnace, and then this one support beam, so the two overages. So very important to have a contingency fund. I'm glad that I had one there. And it was right when it was one of the coldest days here when we had no furnace. So actually right in behind this wall here we had some piping that froze up. So I almost flooded the place out, or I shouldn't say I almost, but this place almost flooded out. When the water was turned back on, I did a bit of a check around, listening for anything dripping, just in case anything froze up. I couldn't hear anything. And then I was just about to leave the front door and I heard a little bit of something. So I came around here and there was water spraying all the way across the room here, like 5-6 feet of spray of water. So I almost left the house with that amount of water rushing, so we would have been in pretty rough shape. But luckily, as I was leaving, I heard it, shut the water off right away, and then we just had to open up the wall in here a little bit, change out some piping. We redid all the plumbing anyway, so we would have got there anyways. It didn't really add that much of a cost, but having the furnace down, having the weather the way it was, having some of the pipes freeze up, you know, it was pretty close. So definitely in the wintertime, shut the water off, probably shut it off outside if you do have no heat at all, and when the water does come back on, make sure you or the contractors really have a very close look all over the place, because you know you can flood a place out pretty fast with frozen pipes. So luckily I dodged that just barely there. So
how do you decide what percentage? Is
Sure.
it a percentage? Is it a dollar amount?
Yeah, it's typically I like to do 10% of the rental budget. So on this property, it was between $40,000 to $45,000 for the rental. So I budgeted in about $4 grand for the contingency, about roughly 10% of my rental budget. So when I'm doing a project, if there's potential for a lot of issues, then maybe I'd increase that a little bit. But this one, it was fairly straightforward. There wasn't anything super special anywhere. It was all pretty straightforward, so I was comfortable with the 10%. So I'm glad that I factored that in there.
Awesome. Let's continue the tour.
Sure. But yeah, it was all really old flooring. Everything was pretty old. It was pretty beat up. It was vacant for a while, and you can tell that the people that lived here before, they didn't really pay any attention to the upkeep, and it was vacant. There was some animals living in here. You know, there were some dead animals in here, all the fun stuff that you do find when you are flipping houses occasionally there we found in here.
And so do you mind just talking through the materials and stuff? This looks like vinyl plank.
Sure, yeah. So we went with the vinyl in here. Pretty much the whole upstairs is all vinyl. Same with the downstairs. We do have a little bit of laminate just in the front entranceway. You'll notice the dark laminate, and in both bathrooms laminate. But nice kind of off-gray vinyl plank in here. The color that I chose originally for this was a little bit closer to a white, but the previous color was about a dark green. So, you know, it would take about 5 or 6 coats to cover that up. So we decided to change the color just to save on time and materials. And this color was still, it was my second choice here. So was originally going to do a little bit more of a white pattern in here for the design, but I'm pretty happy that we didn't do that because it would have taken a while. We did, I think the guys did this one wall here, and it took them quite a while just to cover up the old dark green there, so got that up. This window here, actually, we put a bigger window in. It was only about this big before, so just because of the curb appeal, I wanted to open it up a little bit, put a nice big window here with some nice trim on the outside. It'll look nice with the vinyl siding, but I decided to do that because on one of my last projects, I had a hard time selling it due to the curb appeal wasn't the best. So you know, I spent a little more detail on this one, spent a little bit of extra money, opened this window up nice and big there, so when the siding's done at the end from the street, it's going to look really nice. Nice door, nice glass paneling in the door, painted it red, so hopefully on this one it looks a lot nicer than the last one, and that was definitely a factor with one of my other projects. Didn't sell very quickly. It was because of the curb appeal there. And then same thing here. This is a very old house, early 1900s. So what I did, I added a bunch of outlets up here because the entire upstairs only had one electrical outlet. The entire floor here. You know, maybe the new buyers wouldn't have noticed, but if they would have noticed, I mean, that would probably deter people from buying it if you can't really plug in anything in any of the bedrooms. So up here, this is the secondary bedroom, by the way. Threw 4 new outlets in here, same with the master there, threw 3 or 4 more in there. Make it a little bit nicer. The new buyers can actually plug some stuff in there. So, and then, so this bathroom here, this is the upstairs. I think I'm going to change out some of these bulbs because they're a little bit yellow, or a little bit orange, so they're not super bright. But I rearranged the whole layout in this bathroom here. So we had just an old clawfoot tub here. There was no shower here. It was just kind of open. So what I did as well is I moved the hookups for the washer and dryer up here. So they were in the basement originally, and the basement stairs, they're pretty tough to get down. So you know, nobody wants to go up and down those stairs with big laundry things. So just to make it a little nicer for the new people moving in, we decided to move them up here. We're going to have the undersized washer dryer in here, and then I got rid of the clawfoot tub. I put in the regular shower tub combination here, just to make it a little bit more functional and more of a full bathroom up here for the new buyers. So overall, it's looking pretty nice. Had to run some electrical up here, had to run the plumbing up here. We were already running electrical for some of the outlets, that kind of thing. And we actually redid pretty much all the plumbing in the house as well. So this whole floor was pretty much gone. You could see right down into the basement here. And the chimney stack I was speaking about before, it's not here now, but this is kind of where it was. It ran right kind of neat back here all the way up. So we demolished the whole thing. We capped it at the top, and it just made for a much nicer layout all around here in the top bathroom as well as in the bottom kitchen. So it's starting to look pretty good now. I have to do a little bit of patchwork up there. The wall behind the surround there is not completely flush, so they were having issues getting that to seal there and stick, but they're coming back in tomorrow to redo that.
And so who do you expect your end buyer to be?
Yeah, so the end buyer here, I think they're going to be maybe like a couple with a young kid, maybe, or a professional. It is 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom. You know, probably a couple with maybe a baby or a new couple, somebody that's just getting into the space for the first time. It's quite a lot of space, but the price point for this house is fairly cheap. When it's on the market, it's going to be about 175 grand, which isn't very expensive in this market here and in this area. So I think 175,000 is the ARV. I think we're just going to get probably a family, maybe with 1 kid in here, or maybe just a couple.
And so do you know what's the average like sales price in Weston?
Yeah, so the average sale price in Weston is a little bit lower. It's probably maybe 160, 169 range, but a lot of the houses selling for that price, they're not renovated, they're old, they're just all like, you know, none of them have been fixed up. So this quality of finishing on this starter home here, I think 175, 179 range is definitely attainable with the ARV, so it should sell pretty fast for that. It is fairly big compared to some of the other houses in the area as well. It's about 1,200 square feet, so a lot of the other ones are like 1,000 square feet, that kind of thing. So we do have some space here. And this is actually an addition, so we had to re-level the floor in here, but this is right off of the master bedroom, so it's going to be an office space slash a closet. I'm going to stage some big mirrors in there for the lady that's in here. She can come in here, do her makeup, get ready, and then maybe stage another little office area in here. So it's nice to have a few windows in here as well. These are new windows. We swapped out most of the windows in the house. The other ones were pretty beat up. We couldn't really salvage most of them. So these ones are new. I'm not sure if you can get a shot of the outside there, but the only thing to do out there is fix up the deck a little bit, fix up the yard a little bit. There's quite a lot of parking out there, so overall it's a pretty solid house. I'm pretty happy with the way everything's going now, and hopefully she sells pretty quick as soon as it's on the market.
And so how long was your renovation timeline?
This is about an 8-week renovation. We're just about at the 8-week mark. The only thing that we have left to do now is some siding outside and just a little bit of touch-ups, maybe a little bit of paint touch-ups, but for the most part, I just have to get some appliances in here, which I have sourced, just do some work on the outside and patch up the deck. So I think it will be about 9 weeks as soon as we're done, about a 9-week reno. And it's 1,200 square feet, so it's really not that bad. It's pretty reasonable, I think, timeline for a project of this size with one crew in here. So.
That was awesome. Thanks again to Damon Woodward. I really appreciate you just showing us around Winnipeg and showing us around your current active projects. This is what I want this YouTube channel to become about, at least in part. I'd love to just document and share with you guys investors from across North America. In fact, why not from across the world, and share their stories, share their investments, share their strategies, their tactics, everything. Because, I mean, why not? When I originally got into real estate investing, I tried to be that lone wolf. If you guys have been watching my channel for a while, I've shared my story. But once I started networking, once I started learning from other people, my net worth, my knowledge just exponentially grew. And so that's what I want to do with this YouTube channel. So, like I said, if you're a real estate investor, leave a comment on this video, DM me on Instagram, or hit up one of my team members. Let us know what market you're in. So like what city, what sort of projects are you undertaking? How long have you been a real estate investor? All that good stuff. And let's figure out a time to do some collab videos. And if you're a real estate influencer, you got your own YouTube channel or podcast and you'd like me on it or any of my team, hit me up. Let's make this happen, because 2019 is going to be the year of action for us. 2020 is the year everyone knows our name.